I'm Athena Barry, aka Crystal Reiki Healer, and today we're going to go over some of the beautiful and magical ways of using salt. I just did a post about this on Instagram, and I would love to share some more about it with you here on YouTube. How you can use this for spiritual protection, psychic protection, cleansing, and so much more in and around your home. If there's something that I don't mention here, please drop it in the comments and let me know. I'm always open to new ideas. And remember to hit that notification bell and subscribe, and now we can get started. So when you're using salt at home, this one is great for protection and for cleansing. Now when people have issues with negative energy, let's say you've had a gathering, you've had people over, and you just feel like the energy is not so great and you don't really want to burn sage or some other kind of smudge because the smoke bothers you, well, you can use salt. So what I love to do, especially when I'm doing house cleansings for people, for clients, I will use salt, and you can sprinkle it in the windowsills. You can sprinkle it along your doorways, especially in the entrances and the exits of the home. So think front and back. Or if you're in an apartment, that front door is perfect. Window ledges, and then you also can sprinkle around the inside of the walls, like of a particular room that you feel like you've got maybe some negative energy going on, even if it's your own negative energy and you've just been feeling like icky, right? You can go ahead and use salt to go ahead and clear all of that, all those bad vibes away. When you're doing it for your house, if you're living in a house, not an apartment, you can actually use salt around the perimeter of your home. So you'll want to just go ahead outside, and it doesn't have to be anything fancy. I mean, everybody has a preference. Some people like to use black salt. It's pretty hard to find. I find that white table salt is great. I personally always use sea salt, so that's what I use. But I have also used Himalayan salt, which is great too. So whatever kind of salt you have, don't stress about it. It's perfect. Just go ahead and grab it out of your kitchen. You don't need a whole lot. Don't go, pouring a whole bunch. Trust me, a little goes a long way. And you'll want to sprinkle this around the outside of your home. So just think all along every edge of your house. And then this just really kind of creates this seal of protection around your home. Let's say you're living in an apartment. That's great. You can take that salt and sprinkle it all along the inside of the walls of your home. And just leave it there for, overnight, a few hours, till the next day. It doesn't have to be that long. You don't want to wait more than 24 hours. That's kind of like my rule on time for cleansing. And after that 24 hours, you literally can just go around with your vacuum and suck it all up. For the outside, don't worry about it. The earth, Mother Earth, will go ahead and absorb that. Nature, wind, air, elements, water, depending on what season you're in, will wash that away. So for the outside of your home, don't worry so much about cleaning up the salt. But the inside, you can go ahead and just vacuum it up. Another popular practice is to take a bowl of salt or several bowls of salt, or you can use a mason jar, and you'll stick them in the four corners of your home. Or if it's your bedroom, you'll stick it in the four corners of your bedroom. And this just kind of creates this nice seal around you of protection, cleansing, and that salt draws in all of the negative energy that may be lurking around in your house. And then again, after 24 hours, go ahead and just dump the salt. You don't want to reuse that one because you've just absorbed all this negative energy, so there's no point in taking that back inside. So go ahead and dump it. And you always want to dump your spiritual tools, especially when you're working with releasing, whether it's releasing, negative thoughts, psychic energy, or whatever it is you're working with. You always want to release those outside of your house because you want that energy to go out, not to stay in. Another way I really like to use salt is in my rituals. So especially for fire burning rituals, which I have another video on that if you want to have a look. You just sprinkle a little bit of salt in the bottom of your pot, and then when you add your rubbing alcohol and you light it, or if you don't want to use rubbing alcohol, that's totally fine too. But the salt really helps cleanse and remove any negative energy or negative thought that may be attached to either those manifestations or those things that you want to release. It's also equally good in rituals for protection around you. So for example, if you're doing any kind of spell work or manifesting work, you want to create like this kind of like a bubble of protection around you. So you'll sprinkle that salt in a circle around you. I like to also add in either some obsidian or some tourmaline, but salt just on its own is very powerful. And it's kind of like that, in the movies, you're safe within the circle, right? So that there's a history to that, and this is where it comes from, using salt. And this predates this is older than the Bible. It's in the Bible actually, but use of salt actually predates humans' written history. So that just kind of gives you an idea of how long we've been using salt for our rituals, for our health, for our psychic protection, spiritual protection, and removing any kind of dissonant or negative energy. Now, salt is really wonderful for using to clean your crystals. There are plenty of crystals out there that do really well with water. They do really well with sunlight. They all do well with moonlight, especially the full moon when you want to cleanse and recharge them. But when you don't have a full moon, which is once a month, salt works really well in a pinch. And the best and easiest way that I use is I just get a little bowl and fill it up with a little bit of salt. It doesn't need to be full, and just place your crystals on top of this bowl of salt and let it sit. Let it sit for a few hours, overnight. Usually it doesn't need more than between 3 and 5 hours, but if you want to be on the safe side, like I am, just go ahead and set it out overnight. And then in the morning you'll collect your crystals, and remember that salt has now absorbed all of that negative energy, so you can go ahead and toss it outside of your home. Now, spiritual baths are probably my favorite way to use salt. If I had to pick a favorite, it's kind of hard to pick a favorite, but I love to use salt in my baths. They're really great for just protection, cleansing. I work with a lot of clients, so I'm always picking up, whatever energy of what they're going through. And so part of my self-care routine and making sure that I stay vibing high is cleansing myself, detoxing from any energy that I've picked up. I really love to use what's called a moon bath, which is a whole bunch of salts and flower petals and comes with crystals. It's by ZennBoxx, and they're just wonderful. I'll have a link below on how you can get one of yours. They're just awesome. They have rose quartz, they have green aventurine for abundance, and citrine for happiness, and they have some really wonderful moon baths. So I'll have that link for you. And for that, just like with other salts, if you are using Epsom salt or you're using table salt, with Epsom salt you can be a little more generous. I like to do maybe 2 cups of it and really soak my muscles, allow myself to relax, and draw out any dissonant energy that has kind of latched onto my aura, or my own energetic field. Now, if you don't have a bathtub, don't worry about it. Some of my favorite rituals, affirmations, manifesting has been done, grounding has been done while I'm in the shower. So don't worry about it if you don't have a bathtub. The shower is wonderful. And the way you can use salt in a shower is simply by adding it to your loofah or to your sponge or your washcloth or whatever you're using to wash yourself. You can even sprinkle some salt up above on the crown of your head and let it just kind of fall down. I've done that a lot, especially with those grinders. I'll sprinkle some on top of my head and then get under the water and just allow the salt and the water to cleanse and wash over me and remove any dissonant energy. This is also really wonderful when you don't have time for a bath. So I highly recommend adding it to your loofah. You can also throw in some essential oils, make it smell good, or your favorite bath salts. And there's a reason bath salts are so common. I mean, if you look at the history, there are these wellness springs, the mineral springs that are known across the whole world. They're all over the place. And these have a very high concentration of salt, as well as the Dead Sea. Dead Sea is very famous for their mud masks and their cleansing properties and how good it is for your skin. And it's really from the salt content that is in the water. So that's just kind of another example throughout history how humans have been using salt to cleanse and purify themselves. Many people also struggle with insomnia and or anxiety at bedtime. So salt can be really nice to sprinkle around your bed. Or if you have a raised bed, you can do a little circle of protection underneath your bed. And if you want to place some crystals there too, I mean, I'm always a fan of that. But yes, sprinkling a little salt around the edge of your bed will just kind of keep out all of that negative energy, including your negative thoughts, so that you can sleep well, rest better. And it's really nice for marital beds. You would think of it kind of like a spell, right? You're protecting your marital bed and your marriage from any, maybe unwanted attractions that are coming in, unwanted attachments maybe. Funny story, I had done this around my bed because I had been doing a lot of spiritual work and I was really starting to get into my rituals. And so I sprinkled salt around our bed and my husband, and I had crystals all over the bedspread. I had, rose quartz and carnelian and some protection stones. And my husband comes in, and this is before I really got into Reiki healing too much, and he was so freaked out, like, "Are you a witch?" And I laughed, but at the same time I was a little hurt, like, I'm doing this to protect our space, like, what do you mean? So shortly after that I went out and I got a black cat, because every witch needs a black cat, right? And of course my husband hated cats, so he was not so pleased. And I said, well, next time you should be careful how you speak to me, because I might just go get another cat. Anyway, that was just a fun little fact. So whether you're using, table salt, Himalayan salt, gray salt, sea salt, black salt, they are all wonderful. They all have beautiful magical properties. And I don't want you to stress over whether you have the right salt or not. Because they are all fantastic and they all have that wonderful healing property of cleansing, protecting, and just clearing away all that dissonant energy. Salt is just another example of some of the gifts of our Mother Earth. And I've got so much information about this in my new book, Raise Your Vibes. I'll have a link below. So make sure you pick up your copy today. It's really nice to have a quick little reference guide where you have all of the, or not all, but most of like the spices and the herbs and the seasonings. I mean, the gifts from Mother Earth are so abundant. And it was just really such a joy to put this together in one place and have as a reference. It should be in, you can have it in your kitchen, you can have it in your bedside. It's just a really nice reference to have and a quick guide and lots of fun rituals. So I encourage you to check it out. Thank you for supporting me. And I know you're going to love it as much as I loved writing it. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to hit subscribe and like, comment below. Let me know if there are any things here that you like to do with salt that maybe I didn't mention here, because I'm always open to new ideas. And it's always fun to learn new ones, right? So thank you for watching, and I hope you guys have a beautiful day.